has added at least 29 million new electricity connections in just 2.5 years. To add to this, the country is also facing an unprecedented surge in electricity demand, which was at least 10% just last year. Besides this, the government has also set an ambitious target to install at least 500 gigawatt of new renewable energy installed capacity by 2030. So amid all of this, what happens to your electricity bill? Does the tariff increase in the coming years? And more importantly, will we face power cuts this summer given the power demand increase? To answer all these questions, we have with us India's Minister for Power and Renewable Energy, Mr. R.K. Singh. A very warm welcome to Moneycontrol. I would directly dive to the most topical issue, that is of power demand. So the government this time took a lot of proactive measures just in time compared to last year. It issued orders for coal import, blending and all that. But besides all of this, what are the challenges that you still feel persist?
We are prepared. Actually, the demand, we expect the demand to touch almost about 230 gigawatts, which will be an all-time record. Up till now, the demand has been only 215 gigawatts, but that was last year, and that was an all-time record. So the demand is increasing rapidly, 10.5%. The great thing is that this shows that our economy is growing. As far as preparedness is concerned, I'm prepared. We are prepared. We have enough capacity. We'll meet the demand. Absolutely. We've made sure that there are stocks of coal, sufficient stocks of coal, and we've also tied up gas capacities to supplement the coal and renewable energy capacities. So we are well prepared. There is not going to be any issue in meeting the requirement. The other aspect which you mentioned was about electricity prices. Now, let me tell you that yesterday the minister from Spain was here. Now, there the tariff is 50 euros per megawatt hour. I mean, that is 50 rupees per unit. Yeah. That's today. Yeah. The entire developed world went through the crisis of very high power costs, high power tariff. I mean, we didn't let it affect us at all. Your power costs remained level. In fact, I brought down the ceiling. So earlier the ceiling in the exchange was 20 rupees. So I brought it down to 12 rupees. Now I brought it down to 10 rupees. That's the ceiling. I mean, I don't see any reason if your generation cost is, let's say, 2 rupees 50 paisa, as to why you should, get 20, why you should sell it for 20 rupees. I see no reason whatsoever. So I brought down the ceiling. I've issued directions saying that all imported coal-based plants will function, will offer power. So that they will do. So we are well prepared, and the tariff will remain even, easy, and much less than the tariff in other countries.
So, but also, which is a very...
in the power sector, we brought about a huge... now, if you look around you, whether it's the developed countries or whether it's our neighbors, you have disruptions in power supplies, you have huge costs, etc. Not us, despite the fact that, as you noted, we connected 29 million homes. Not in 2.5 years, we did it almost in just about 19-20 months, that's it. And after that, we are actually mopping up. That challenge is still out. Is any home left? If it is, please go and correct it. We'll give you the money. That's what I keep telling all the discoms. About 2 days back, we had a meeting of all the state governments, the principal secretaries. I repeated it. I said that any home which existed when we launched Saubhagya has to be connected. And if you have left out any, please go back and connect it. Of course, this is the homes which were in existence during the period when we announced Saubhagya. Right. Because construction of homes is an ongoing process, and the discoms are supposed to keep connecting it. Right. So as far as the power sector is concerned, our prices will remain stable, the tariff will remain stable, and the supplies will be available.
Right. So I want to delve upon the power tariff thing a bit more. So because of the reforms that have been introduced over the last 2 or 3 years, so payment discipline is also increasing, right? It's getting better. or do you have different opinion?
It's not getting better. The payment discipline is absolute. It's perfect in
Okay.
the sense that not one current bill is outstanding,
Okay.
not one. And if any current bill is remains outstanding after the due date, then the power gets cut off. It is automatic. I can't
Right.
do anything about it.
Right.
When it first happened to 12, 13 discoms,
Right.
I got calls
Right.
from my colleague ministers. I said, sorry, I can't do anything about it. Now the system is automatic. So it switches off. So you have to pay. And as far as the legacy dues are concerned,
Yeah.
you have to pay your installments. And if you don't pay your installments, then again you get cut off.
So current dues, you said that it's now zero.
Zero.
Legacy due, if you could give the number of.
The legacy dues, when we started off, it was 1,31,000 crores.
Right.
Now I think it has come down to almost about 90,000 crores.
Right.
Just in this brief period, we have wiped out 40,000 crores of the legacy dues.
Right.
And the power sector has been turned down.
Right.
The AT&C losses reduced by 5% in 1 year.
Right.
5% in 1 year. So congratulations.
Many congratulations.
I was so happy to note that the tariff has been updated in every state except bar 2. And they will also update the tariff in just about 15 to 20 days. Imagine, that's the situation today. And imagine the situation before we came to office. The subsidy payments are up to date. Current subsidy payments are up to date. Legacy subsidy overdues are being paid. Can you imagine? Current subsidy is being up to date. Can you imagine?
So that's what
and the subsidy is not generally what the state decides. The subsidy is based on the number of units consumed
right.
by the subsidized category.
Right.
So we put in place a system whereby we say that you have to declare the subsidy per unit. That for different categories. For farmers, we'll give a subsidy of 4 rupees per unit, whatever you want to declare. And then the subsidy bill is calculated by multiplying the subsidy per unit into the number of units supplied to the farmer category or to the BPL category, etc.
Right. Because of this, could you give an average estimate of nationally how much the tariff could increase?
Tariff increase is concerned, that increase will depend on whether the coal price increases.
Yeah.
That will depend on whether the railway freight increases.
Right.
So that is outside our control.
Right.
All right. The distribution costs are mainly the salary costs of the distribution staff in the distribution companies. That is the distribution cost. So when the salaries go up, then that has a certain impact. Every state has different tariff. Every state has a regulator which fixes the tariff.
Yeah.
The point is that this exercise happened not on time. It is just beginning of the financial year. The tariff for 23-24 is in place.
So I want to say talk about Delhi. This tussle between the Aam Aadmi Party government and the LG, because of which the post of chairman and DRC itself is, the Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission itself is vacant for a long time. So I know Power Ministry has also issued the notice to all states in March. But what is the scenario for that?
As far as Delhi is concerned, as far as I recall, what happened was that the Aam Aadmi Party government wanted to bring in somebody from some other state or something like that. You can't do that. It has to be as per the law. We looked at the law, we consulted the Ministry of Law. The Lieutenant Governor had asked us to check the legal position. So the legal position is that if you want a judge in the regulatory commission, either as a member or as a head, it has to be run through the Chief Justice of Delhi. You can't sort of, get a judge or whatever, retired judge, whatever, and from any other part, and then sort of appoint him directly. No, you have to go. You have to get the clearance of the Chief Justice of Delhi. So the LG was right.
Sir, and what is your opinion on demand side management, as in pricing differently for peak hours and?
My opinion is yes.
Yeah.
That's why I want the smart prepaid metering on the ground as soon as possible, so that we have time of day tariff, and that will help the consumer. It will help the consumer because during solar hours they'll get cheaper power.
Right.
They'll
Right.
get much cheaper power.
So, could you give us an update on the smart metering mission in terms
We
of
reviewed
numbers?
that. It's progressing apace,
Yeah.
but there are also manufacturing constraints.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So we cannot hasten beyond a certain speed because of the manufacturing constraints. And so there you are. One target I have set is that by 24, uh, March, I want all the feeders and the transformers to be metered.
Okay.
Because that is necessary for energy accounting. Now, the days of irresponsibility are over.
Correct.
Every bit of energy is going to be accounted. You have to publish quarterly accounts, you have to publish annual accounts.
Right.
So, what that will do is, that will fix accountability. That, okay, if the losses are happening, they are happening in which division, which circle? Who is the who is the executive engineer responsible for that loss? Who is the superior responsible for that loss? So you can home in zero and straight away. That I have supplied you, let's say, 1,000 units, and you built only 600 units or 400 units, you lost.
Right.
Accountability straight away. Then the subsidy.
Right.
Earlier, the distribution companies would, either not give a bill or give any sort of bill.
Yeah.
They would say that my subsidy claim is 10,000 crore. Without any basis for the account, they had no energy accounts.
Right.
Now, if the subsidy which they bill to the state government will be based on energy accounts. That, okay, you announced a subsidy of 3 rupees per unit for below poverty line consumers. Now, so I have supplied so many units to BPL consumers, and therefore, on account of BPL consumers, you have to give me so much subsidy. So the state government feels confident that they are not being overcharged by the discount. Everything becomes transparent. So that is why energy accounting is absolutely a must. So as I said, now it's become disciplined, rule bound, and transparent.
For all our viewers, electricity network has three pillars: generation, transmission, and distribution. Sir, I would like to, I want you to pick a sector which you
You
think.
pick a sector.
No, you have to pick a sector of the three where you think still a lot of work is needed and why in India.
Now I need to add a lot more capacity
Right.
because we are growing. That's great. This shows that our country is growing. As far as generation is concerned, that is the target, and especially I have to add a lot more capacity in renewables, round the
Right.
clock renewables. As far as transmission is concerned, I am happy. I'm going to add more capacity in transmission. I came out with a plan for that 500 gigawatts of renewable
yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
Remember?
December next
And in transmission, we are a world leader. We have connected the whole country to one grid.
Yes.
Now we are the largest single integrated grid in the world. I mean, as far as integrated grids go, we are the largest, and we are still adding capacity. Not only that, we've changed the rules. We brought an ease of doing business. We put in place general network access.
Right.
That means you get connected to connected to my grid anywhere, and you get connected to the country. In other parts of the world, the developed world, you want connectivity if you are a generator, or you want connectivity if you are a discom. How long will it take? Guess, 1.5 years, 2 years. In our country, 60 days, max. We are better than the developed world insofar as transmission is concerned. In distribution, we brought about a huge change, but we constructed 2,900 odd new substations, upgraded of 3,980 substations, added 8.5 lakh circuit kilometers of HT lines and LT lines. I mean,
this is in a period of your tenure?
my
7
tenure,
years?
my,
6
my,
years?
yeah,
about
yeah,
6
my
years.
tenure. And that is why the power availability in rural areas has gone up to 22 hours. Actually, it was 22.5 hours. But now, the last time I checked 2 days back, it was 22 hours average. And we monitor it on a regular basis. And in urban, it has gone up to 23.5 hours because of this, because we've upgraded the transmission and the distribution. But I need more money for modernization. I'm spending money, RDSS.
Right.
So we've sanctioned schemes under RDSS for almost about 3 lakh crores.
Yeah.
And so I reviewed the implementation, the tendering, etc. is happening. I need more money because there are still lines,
Right.
distribution LT lines, ST lines, which are more than 20 years old, 25 years old.
Right.
They need replacement.
Could you give a lowdown on the thermal capacity that we'll add, and also nuclear? Also, I feel believe that you all are exploring in detail.
Thermal capacity, I think by and large under different stages of construction would be in the range of almost about 43,000 megawatts, 44,000 megawatts. So that's under construction. And as far as renewables are concerned, we've already announced that by 2030 we'll have 500 gigawatts from non-fossils. Now, in that non-fossils, about I think 16 gigawatts would be nuclear.
Okay.
Right now, the nuclear capacity is 6,800 megawatts.
Yeah.
So we have another, I think, 5-7 gigawatts under construction. But we'll reach, I think, 15-16 gigawatts will reach by 2030.
Right. And hydroelectric power?
Hydropower, we have 46,000 megawatts installed.
Right.
I have another 14,000 megawatts under construction. And we'll be starting construction on further, I think, 16,000 megawatts very soon.
Ongoing under construction hydroelectric projects, most of them have been delayed quite a lot, mostly because of local protests and pushback.
They were delayed, but
So,
now they're.
How do you plan to tackle this issue?
No, we've tackled it. So they were delayed, but all those projects which were delayed are now progressing apace. Now, what we have done, I'll tell you. What used to happen was that there used to be geological surprises. In hydro, you'll have geological surprises. So you dig and suddenly you come across a void, etc., which you have not foreseen. Now, that means that your estimates have to be updated, and the decisions have to be taken. Now, officers were hesitant to take decisions. CVC, CBI, I said, forget it. Take decisions. I am with you. For me, every officer is honest, unless proved otherwise. Okay? That is one. The second is I put in place a system of independent engineer. So that independent engineer is an external element. So he helps in that decision making. He is there, so the officers feel more confident that yes, he is there, he has seen it, he will certify that this extra work is required. Then I have put in place a system of dispute resolution mechanisms. So I have dispute resolution committees, mostly retired secretaries. So any dispute, before you go to arbitration, you come here, and that is decided in about 30 days flat. So the pace of my construction has gone up tremendously, and we are adding capacity.
All right. And sir, I'll come to green hydrogen now. Could you give us an idea about the trajectories that have been planned for different sectors?
We plan to have 5 million tons of manufacturing capacity in green hydrogen installed by 2030.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure that will cross it.
But in terms of like how is it going to be achieved?
So basically, it's all in the private sector. And what we have done is that we have put in place a huge ecosystem in the renewable energy sector, which is what gives us an advantage. We have one of the fastest growing renewable energy capacity in the world. So we have huge, strong and robust renewable energy capacity. And it's also the most competitive. We can set up 1 megawatt of solar capacity at $600,000. This is the cheapest anywhere. So my green hydrogen will be the cheapest. So we have a huge opportunity for export. Now the world recognizes it,
Right.
and that's why some people have started putting up,
Exactly.
the barriers. Uh, protection. They have started taking protectionist measures. So which we are challenging, which we are saying that this is not on. For example, one country has come out with a huge protectionist measure. They call it the Inflation Reduction Act,
Yeah,
but they
$3.
provided for a subsidy of $3 per kilogram of green hydrogen. Imagine that's the cost. The cost of production of green hydrogen in our country is $2.50. They are giving a subsidy of $3. They want the entire industry
Market.
to go there, to migrate there. I mean, this is just protectionism, nothing else. Another country came out with another protectionist measure saying that the distance between the electrolyzer and the renewable energy source should not be more than 500 kilometers. So protectionism, and these people, they give you lots of lectures, about free trade, but they've never followed the principle of free trade themselves. They'll put up non-trade barriers, which has already started happening. We are saying that let there be free trade. Let countries compete. If I can produce green hydrogen at lower cost, then fine. I mean, it has to be an open market. You buy from me. That is something which I keep telling all these people. I said, I keep telling all these people that you have been lecturing the world for decades and centuries on the virtues of free trade. Now, what's happened? What happened to your lecture?
But in terms of policy, how does India plan to counter these? I know the stand is not no mega subsidies, but still,
As I said, one of course is this. We speak about it. The other is I have asked the ministry to see whether we can go to the WTO. The problem is that some countries have vetoed all appointments to the adjudication mechanism of the WTO. So you don't have an adjudicating mechanism.
okay.
So what do you do in the WTO? That is also a problem. I mean, one thing is clear that now these people can't lecture us. Whether they can't lecture us insofar as energy transition is concerned, because we are transitioning faster than them. Our actions for energy transition are unparalleled. We are the only major economy whose energy transition actions are consonant with the ensuring that the rise in global temperature is below 2 degrees. Only major economy. I mean, whatever we pledged in NDCs, we have achieved, and we are overachieving. What we said we'll achieve by 2030, we achieved in 2021. So the energy transition, we are a leader. They can't lecture us on that. In fact, I lecture them. Yeah, and the tables had turned. But the tragedy is we shall transition because we believe in the environment. Our government believes in the environment. We shall transition. We are reducing our per capita emissions. But the point is that our per capita emissions are already the lowest in the world. Our per capita emissions are 1/3 of the global average. There, the developed countries' per capita emissions are 3 times the global average, 9 times ours. So when are they going to reduce their emissions to the global average? That's the question I asked them, because they don't have an answer to. Now they said, they've told us that we'll get to net zero in 2050 or 2035.
Yeah.
But I mean, what will you do in between? Because the time available before we cross that threshold, beyond which the sub 2 degree rise in global temperature would not be feasible, is just 15-20 years away. And so what are you going to do now? What are you going to do in the next 5 years? That's what the world would like to know, number one. Number two, that only your transitioning won't help. You will have to help the developing countries. We don't need help. I mean,
Yeah.
thank you. We are getting enough investment. All the capacity which we have set up, 170 gigawatts, has been invested by the private sector. I have every global fund invested here. We are the most attractive market in renewables. But the developing countries in Africa need assistance. They need finance. They need technology. So you have pledged to give that. You pledged in Kyoto onwards, and you've done nothing. What are you going to do about it? If you transition and the rest of the world doesn't, it doesn't make a difference in any case.
Right.
So these are answers, these are questions to which they don't have answers.
Right.
I asked them that you have said net zero. How will you get to net zero? Unless you have round the clock renewable energy. And the battery is expensive. What are you doing to make more battery?
Yeah.
Answer question. How are you going to get to net zero without CCUS? CCUS is at pilot stage.
Yeah.
Question. I was just making a statement at net zero, etc. Some countries feel that the rest of the world is foolish. This is not something. I mean, hypocrisy is exposed every day.
So, given the renewable ambition of India, please tell us about the storage plans and also vis-a-vis the cost, because
Yeah.
how do we
So
bring that down?
the government have announced that we'll put up 4 gigawatts of storage with VGF. So that will happen. We already have concluded one bid for 1,000 megawatt hours of storage, one of the largest bids in the world. And we'll come out with more bids because we want more and more round-the-clock renewable energy because we believe in the environment.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.